Chapter 1042. Shu Qing suddenly recovered from his infatuation, but he wasn't angry at all. Instead, he laughed out loud. Such a beautiful woman, staying in a broken place like the Xiao Yarrow sect is really too much of a waste. Little beauty, why don't you come back to the whole Yi sect with me? I promise you that you'll have a good life. The corners of Mu Yang's mouth slowly hooked up. The smile on her face was innocent and bright. Her watery peach blossom eyes seemed to be reflecting thousands of stars. Have a good life. I can invite you right now. Shu Qing looked at her smile and sucked in a breath of cold air. His eyes became even more infatuated. But before he could react to Mu Yang's words, he felt a sudden pain on his face. Then, his whole body flew out like a kite with a broken string. After Mu Yang kicked the extremely daring Shu Qing away, her figure slowly landed like a fluttering butterfly. It was too beautiful to behold. The people of the whole Yi sect didn't even react when she hit their elder. Only when Mu Yang completely landed did they suddenly wake up. You, what are you doing? Smelly girl, you've eaten a bear's heart and a leopard's gall. You actually dared to hit our elder Shu. Mu Yang sneered and walked over. She stepped on elder Shu, who was in so much pain that he couldn't get up, and dug out all the crystal stones, spirit tools, and longsword from his chest. You're the ones who ate a bear's heart and a leopard's gall. You dare to steal my things. Hey, you really don't know how to write the word death. After kicking elder Shu away, Mu Yang took the things and slowly walked in front of Yun Ruohan. She threw the things into his chest and snappily said, "Eldest senior brother, you're too easy to bully. It's already good enough that we didn't steal other people's things. You actually spat out what you've already eaten. Is there something wrong with your brain?" Yun Ruohan opened his mouth, but couldn't say a word. He felt that there was indeed something wrong with his brain. In his mind, the gentle, kind, beautiful, weak, talented little junior sister who needed their protection. Why was she so valiant? Even Lang Yumor and Qin Ju were stunned. Little junior sister was so overbearing, so mighty. It was completely different from what they had imagined. However, why did such a junior sister and her words make them feel so carefree? Even Ling Yuxing and Chu Moli, who had seen Mu Yang's ruthlessness, didn't expect that Mu Yang would actually directly attack Elder Shu, as if she didn't even consider the consequences of offending the whole unitary sect. Only Luo Yu cupped her face in her hands, her face full of admiration as she said, "Sixth senior sister is amazing. I haven't seen sixth senior sister fly into a rage for half a month. I've almost forgotten how handsome and awesome senior sister was at Windless Plaza." In the Windless Square, Mu Yang had been coerced by the Li Fire sect elder Qianfeng and his nephew. However, those people were still dealt with by sixth senior sister in the end. Even elder Qianfeng was angered to the point of vomiting blood. He, sixth senior sister is mighty. Shu Qing struggled to crawl up from the ground. He circulated his spiritual energy, and only then did the pain on his face lessen a little. He viciously and tyrannically looks at Muyan. "Smelly girl, do you know who I am? How dare you attack me?" Muyan turned her head and looked over with a faint smile. "Damn old man, do you know who I am? You dare to pluck hair from my sect." When had Shu Qing ever been ridiculed and humiliated like this, he immediately fell backwards in anger. Chapter 1043. Especially this little slut, capture her alive. Today, I will let her know the consequences of offending me, Shu Qing. Qin Ju suddenly takes a step forward, blocking in front of Mu Yang, and roars, Who dares to touch little junior sister? You have to go through me first." Leng Yumor's sword whistles as she rushes towards a Gui Yi sect disciple. "Damn it, you dare to covet my little junior sister, I will kill you. Eldest senior brother, since we have already offended the Gui Yi sect, we might as well go all out. Otherwise, are we going to let them bully sixth senior sister?" Luo Yu laughs mischievously and commands the doll. The doll suddenly erupts with a powerful energy, and a stick suddenly appears in its hand, which it swings towards the Gui Yi sect disciple. Ling Yuxing faintly sneers, "Smelly men, you dirted my clothes, I will make you pay with your lives." As soon as he says that, the needle and thread in his hand shoot out like lightning. The person who is shot by the needle screams in an instant. He is completely unable to move, and falls straight down. "Ah, Don't hit me, don't hit me. It hurts. Ah, don't kill me. Master, save me, save me. In the dilapidated square of the Xiao Yarrow sect, screams rise and fall, accompanied by a cloud of dust. Yun Ruohan sighs, flips her wrist, and the unremarkable long sword in her hand emits a dazzling light. He soared into the air and suddenly attacked Xu Qing with the force of 1,000 catties. Mu Yang looks at the battle in front of her, her mouth slightly wide open, her face full of shock. Although she already knew that the strength of her fellow disciples is not bad. But isn't this too strong? In just a short quarter of an hour, more than half of the Guiyi sect disciples have fallen. And in this large half, there are even a few rank 5 fasting cultivators. But facing the attacks of Qin Ju and the others, they do not have the slightest ability to fight back. Even Xu Qing, who is rank 9 fasting, when faced with Yun Ruohan, who seems to be only rank 5 fasting, he unexpectedly retreats step by step. There is a cripple here, quickly take him as a hostage. Mu Yang turns back in shock and sees that there is already a Guiyi sect disciple rushing towards Chu Moli. It is already too late to save him, she can only rely on zither sound blades. The Tianmo Qin has already appeared in Mu Yan's hands. However, before he could even pluck the zither strings, he saw the whole unitary sect's disciple who had thrown himself at Chu Moli inexplicably scream and fall to the ground. He was foaming at the mouth, and his face was filled with pain. He couldn't even crawl up. He. It seemed like she had worried for nothing. Mu Yan expressionlessly retrieves the Tianmo Qin. As expected, there wasn't a single person in her sect who was simple. On the square in front of the Xiao Yarrow gate, the dust gradually settled. The disciples of the whole unitary sect, along with Elder Shu, were all piled up on the ground. Yun Ruohan looked at the people who had been subdued. This time, we've really offended the whole Yi sect. Even Elder Feng won't be able to help us. Luo Yu frowned and said, why don't we inform Master? Tell Master to call Junior Marshal Uncle back. With Junior Marshal Uncle here, the Xiao Yarrow school will be fine. Bang! A blow landed on Luo Yu's forehead. Chapter 1044. Cough, cough. Luo Yu shivered. I won't say it. We can't let Marshal Uncle know that we caused such a big trouble. But, how are we going to end this? Lung Yu Mo licked her lips. How about we kill them all? Kill them to silence them and eliminate the roots. Hearing this, the people of the whole Yi sect who were still conscious turned pale and begged for mercy. Xu Qing gritted his teeth and said, your Xiao Yarrow sect is really bold. How dare you betray the whole Yi sect? Let me tell you, many people in the whole Yi sect know that I came out today. If I don't go back tonight, the whole Yi sect will come and flatten your Xiao Yarrow sect tomorrow. You bunch of trash, just wait for your death. Yun Ruohan's face was very ugly. This was the result he was most afraid of. That's why he had been swallowing his anger. Xu Qing looked at him and immediately burst into laughter. If you let me go now, then kowtow to me and admit your mistakes, perhaps I can still spare your lives. Slap. Before he could finish his words, he was stomped into the dust by a small embroidered shoe. Mu Yang stepped on his face and sneered, Elder Shu of the whole Yi sect, you're quite unyielding. Even at this time, you can still be so stubborn. Xu Qing's face turned red. His eyes were full of humiliation and resentment. Bitch, kill me if you can. At that time, your entire Xiao Yarrow sect will be buried with me. Killing you would be such a pity. Mu Yan pats his face and sneers, I think that Elder Shu's unyielding character makes me quite like and respect him. In order to show my respect, I've decided to give all of you a gift. Xu Qing roared, you witch, what the hell do you want to do? However, Mu Yang doesn't pay attention to him. Instead, she looks towards Chu Moli. She blinked her eyes and revealed a sly smile on her beautiful face. Third senior brother, I see you drawing mountains and rivers all day long. How boring. Are you interested in drawing a portrait? They're all handsome men who don't wear clothes and have enchanting postures. In the meeting room of the Xiao Yarrow sect, the tables and chairs had already been moved away. Instead, they were replaced by men who were stripped naked and had nothing to show for it. All of them were placed in shameful and enchanting postures, entangled in twos and threes. From time to time, they would accidentally bump into each other, producing sounds that would make one blush and make one's heart race. Not far from them, a handsome young man in a wheelchair was earnestly drawing in front of a drawing board. Beside him, Lung Yumor, Qin Ju and Luo Yu were squatting. Sometimes, they would look at the painting, and sometimes, they would look at the person. From time to time, they would burst into laughter. Third senior brother, the movements of the person on the left aren't graceful enough. Wait a moment, I'll make them better. Ha ha ha, third senior brother, I used to think that your drawing skills were bad and even wondered what the hell you were drawing. But now, I think that your drawing skills are really amazing. Isn't junior sister the most ruthless one? He actually thought of such a method to shut them up. Ha 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 ha. Not far away, there was a man in his 40s who was completely naked. His eyes were bloodshot, and his face was filled with shame and anger. It was as if he wanted to eat someone alive. However, his body was placed in a coquettish and charming position. Chapter 1045. Luo Yu burst into laughter. Hey hey hey, third senior brother, he's tearing up. It's too perfect. Hurry up and draw. The brush in Chu Moli's hand moved as if it was flying. It was so fast that after images could be seen. In just a short while, Elder Shu's face and body, as well as his graceful posture, were already vividly drawn on the paper. Seeing that the drawing was done, Luo Yu immediately snatched the paper and brought it to Shu Qing. Elder Shu, hurry up and take a look. Isn't our third senior brother's drawing skills superb? Look at your body, your posture, and every part of your body. Our senior brother has drawn you so vividly that people will definitely recognize you as Elder Shu with a single glance. Elder Shu stared at the drawing in Luo Yu's hand. He snorted and opened his mouth for a long time, but he couldn't say a word. Seeing him like this, Luo Yu laughed even more happily. Elder Shu, say, if third senior brother were to make a dozen of these paintings and distribute them in the bazaar, to all the sects in the Azure Heaven Realm, and let all the cultivators in the Azure Heaven Realm admire your enchanting and beautiful posture, how interesting would that be? Elder Shu, when you and your disciple become famous in the future, don't forget that it's all thanks to our effort. Shu Qing's eyes rolled back and blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. He couldn't take it anymore and directly fainted. However, his body seemed to be controlled by something. Even though he fainted, he still maintained the same posture. Luo Yu chuckled and moved her fingers slightly. The puppet standing at the side also moved its legs, and only then did Elder Shu directly fall down. Seeing that Elder Shu had completely fainted, Luo Yu happily took the drawing and returned to Chu Moli's side to watch him draw the others. After more than 2 hours, Chu Moli finally finished drawing the portraits of all the whole Unitary sect's disciples. Lung Yumor and Luo Yu fought to see his drawing. They laughed loudly as they looked. Ling Yusheng snatched a drawing and took a look. His face immediately turned red. These are all men's naked bodies. How could junior sister come up with such an idea? Girls don't know how to be shy. Yun Ruohan, who had walked over from the side, wiped her face and thought to herself, not only is your junior sister not shy, she even wants to draw with third junior brother in high spirit. If it wasn't for them trying their best to stop her, perhaps half of the nude men would have been drawn by their junior sister. They always felt that they had recruited a fake junior sister. However, when Yun Ruohan turned her head around, she saw Chu Moli sitting in his wheelchair, lightly sketching the final group portrait. She was slightly taken aback. Although the face of the young man in the wheelchair was still sickly pale, there was a faint blush on his cheeks. The tips of his brows and the corners of his eyes seemed to sparkle with brilliant starlight. In the past, he had also seen his third junior brother painting. At that time, he was also smiling, but his smile was as deep as the ocean, as if it was hiding some kind of ruthless, crazy desire to destroy everything. This could be seen from the contents of his paintings. That kind of smile was completely different from the smile that came from the bottom of his heart. So, little junior sister asked third junior brother to draw for his own good. Was it to ease the knot in his heart? Chapter 1046. Even if her method of dealing with the whole Unitary sect was a bit sinister. However, The whole unitary sect had gone too far, and he couldn't stand it anymore. Clap, clap, clap. More than 20 naked male cultivators of the whole unitary sect were thrown outside the Xiao Yarrow sect. Luo Yu clapped her hands and said in a condescending tone, "Remember what happened today. If anyone dares to complain to the whole unfettered sect, or if the unfettered sect is attacked by ferocious beasts or bandits, I guarantee that in less than 3 days, your coquettish portraits will be spread across the entire Azure Heaven realm. If you have the guts, you can try it." The male cultivators of the whole unitary sect covered their private parts with their hands and shouted in shame and indignation, "You're too much. Give us those portraits. Hey tilde, do you think I'm stupid? Give them back to you." Luo Yu made a face. "At least, give us back our clothes. How are we going to go back like this?" Yun Ruohan thought about it and was about to take out their clothes. However, before she could take them out, Lung Yumor stopped her. "Bah, you smashed the signboard of the Xiao Yarrow sect, and you still want clothes? In your dreams." Lung Yumor sneered and threw them a tattered sheet. "Here, you can use this to go down the mountain. Bastard, this sheet is so short, how can it be enough for all of us?" Lung Yumor said, "Hey, you don't want the sheet? Then give it back to me, and you can go down the mountain naked." The disciples of the whole unitary sect were frightened, and they didn't dare to say anything else. They all grabbed the sheet, hoping to get a piece of cloth to cover their private parts. As for the unconscious elder Shu, no one cared about him anymore. Just like that, she was lying on the ground with her round buttocks raised high. The people of the Xiao Yarrow sect couldn't help but laugh. Even the calm Yun Ruohan couldn't help but laugh. Although what they did today wasn't right, why did they feel so good? She felt like all the anger that she had accumulated over the years was released at this moment. "What are you doing?" Just as everyone was convulsing with laughter, a magnetic and pleasant male voice suddenly rang in their ears. That voice was clearly like jade, clear and pure, captivating people's hearts and souls. However, when the members of the Xiao Yarrow sect heard it, they couldn't help but shiver. Even the most lawless Lung Yumor felt a chill down her spine as a drop of cold sweat rolled down her forehead. Then, a shrill and wretched voice whistled into their ears. "Wahahaha, what are you guys playing at? It looks very interesting. How could I miss out on such an interesting event?" There was a bang. A strange spirit beast with a slender body landed on Shu Qing's bare buttocks. After it steadied itself, it even stepped back and forth. Then, it suddenly shrieked and jumped to the side in disgust. "Damn, I thought you were a beauty when I saw your white body." Unexpectedly, they were all rough men. Who would want to see the naked bodies of rough men? "Are you all perverts? Master, punish them. Quickly punish them." Since Big Brother and the others were determined not to allow Mu Yang to watch Third Brother drawing a nude portrait, Mu Yang could only bitterly run back to the house to continue drawing talismans. In fact, Mu Yang was quite indignant. They were both women, so why was fourth sister allowed to watch? But she was driven back. Chapter 1047. He even guided his disciple in perfecting his drawing skills. Her drawing skills are no worse than Third Brother's, alright. Arguing about this kind of thing is rather boring, so she can only drop it. Wait until the people of Hellfire Valley ascend, she must draw to her heart's content. She finishes drawing 31st grade talismans and 52nd grade talismans. Mu Yang thinks about it, then directly enters Qianguang ruins. The old man is number 1 under the heavens shop is now filled with her talismans. Unfortunately, after 3 days, there's still not a single customer. Unfortunately, the people in the neighboring shops are still discussing. Because Sacred Dance of Ice has received Master Yin's appreciation, the earth-shattering shop has risen in popularity. Every day, who knows how many people go to the shop to buy talismans. It's said that Sacred Dance of Ice can draw 3rd-grade talismans at most, but the success rate is not high. Therefore, the earth-shattering shop only sells 1st-grade and 2nd-grade talismans. But even so, the price of these 2nd-grade talismans is still very high. Ordinary shops only need 18 low-grade crystals for 2nd-grade talismans. In the earth-shattering shop, it needs 50 low-grade crystals. The main point is that the shop is still crowded with customers, and many people can't buy them even if they want to. This is the celebrity effect. Mu Yang sighs, softly lamenting, Xiaobao, oh Xiaobao, if you didn't come back, Nyang Qin would die of poverty. So poor that she can't even sell a single talisman. If her dear Xiaobao is here, with Xiaobao's heaven-defying luck, this shop would be filled with customers just by standing outside. Excuse me, do you sell talismans here? As Mu Yang is lost in thought, a shy voice suddenly comes from the door. Oh my, just as she's thinking about Xiaobao, a customer comes to the door. Mu Yang immediately smiles, I do, but I only have first-grade and second-grade talismans here. In fact, in the past 2 days, some people have come to this shop to ask about talismans. But all they want are third-grade talismans. As soon as they hear that she doesn't have them here, they immediately turn around and leave, not even interested in asking again. Standing at the door is a very young girl, her neck slightly shrunk, her face full of embarrassment. Hearing Mu Yang say that there are first and second-grade talismans, he promptly says, I only want second-grade talismans, but I only have 5 low-grade crystal stones, but my brother is injured and his internal organs are bleeding. I really need healing talismans. The little girl was so ashamed that she couldn't even raise her head. Her voice was as soft as a mosquito's buzz. I'm sorry. I know that 5 crystals are definitely not enough. I've visited many shops, but none of them are willing to pay on credit. Mu Yang sees that the rims of her eyes are red from anxiety, yet she stubbornly refuses to shed tears. She thinks of Wei Zi, who has already gone to the Misty Clouds sect. She smiled, took the 5 pieces of low-grade crystal stones, and handed 2 second-grade healing talismans to the little girl. You are my first customer, and I'm in a good mood. Today, buy one get one free. The little girl's eyes lit up and her face was filled with disbelief. Even if this was only a 1-star shop, a second-grade talisman, no matter how bad the quality was, would still cost at least 15 crystals. 5 crystal stones, even a first-grade talisman might not necessarily be able to be bought, let alone 2 second-grade talismans. Thank you so much. My name is Bei Kue Xiong Nuan. I will definitely find a way to return the crystals I owe you. Chapter 1048. Mu Yang shakes her head and laughs in spite of herself. She waits for a while, and seeing that the shop is really deserted, she prepares to leave. It's just that before she goes offline, she remembers something and heads to the trading center of Tianguang ruins. About half an hour later, Mu Yang's figure appears in the space. On the green lawn, Qi Huang is digging the grass in boredom. Seeing her appear, he just lazily raises his head to glance at her, as if he doesn't want to pay attention to her. Mu Yang walks up to him in a few steps and throws the thing in her hand. This is for you to pass the time. Qi Huang stares blankly and picks up the thing on the ground. It's a black ball. In the center, there's a small groove, marked with spiritual power. Qi Huang tries to press his finger on the groove and infuse it with spiritual power. With a swoosh, the ball suddenly disperses, and a magnificent scene unfolds in front of Qi Huang. This is a very popular game in the Xiozhen continent, called spirit-peering chess. It can be played by up to 8 people, or at least, 1 person can also play. Qi Huang's slender fingers gently pinch one of the chess pieces that has been made into a small person, and he looks up at Mu Yang. That expression, that gaze, it seems to be somewhat dull and silly, indescribably adorable. Mu Yang smiles and reaches out to stroke his head. You can study it by yourself first, or you can play with Chocho. When I have time, I'll come in and play with you. Later, I'll study it to see if there's a way for you to enter Tianguang ruins. In Tianguang ruins, everyone who enters is a primordial spirit, and they can change their appearance and name. Even if you, Qi Huang, go in, you won't be discovered. Qi Huang suddenly clenches the chess piece in his hand, his teeth slightly biting his lower lip. His voice seems to be a bit hoarse. Why what? Qi Huang grits his teeth, his voice becoming more and more hoarse. Why are you so good to me? This is good to you. Mu Yang sneers, reaching out to rub his hair again. You're moved by this little thing? You still say you're not a child. Bastard. Qi Huang explodes. This sage is, an artifact spirit that has lived for tens of thousands of years. Mu Yang picks her ears and says impatiently, "I've heard it so much that my ears have gotten calluses." Her expression turned serious as she stared at the rosy-cheeked youth in front of her. She said in a low voice, "Qi Huang, I don't know what kind of past you have or what kind of relationship we once had. But in my heart, from the day you recognized me as your master, you are the person that I, Jun Muyan, will protect. Although your mouth is unforgiving, you've helped me time and time again. Even if you had to sacrifice your cultivation, you still wanted to save my life. So, I will do my best to treat you well, until you hate me as your master and want to leave." Qi Huang opened his mouth, wanting to speak, but found that his throat was so dry that he couldn't make a sound. Mu Yang chuckled. "It's just a spirit-peering chess, and you're moved to this extent. Then, there will be plenty of time for you to thank your master, Qi Xiaohuang. Bastard, don't call me Qi Xiaohuang again." Qi Huang stomps his feet in anger, but Mu Yan's figure has already disappeared in the space. He puffs out his cheeks and looks at the chessboard spread out by his side. The magnificent scenery on it could almost be passed off as real. That idiot Jun Muyan, she clearly didn't have any money, but she still bought him the spirit-peering chess. Chapter 1049. Complaining like this, Qi Huang's eyebrows and eyes are tinged with a faint smile. "What is this? It's so beautiful." Little Phoenix's excited and curious voice suddenly comes to his ears. Then, he sees a small fiery red figure flying towards the direction of the spirit-peering chess. Qi Huang is quick to react and quickly slaps Little Phoenix away. He fiercely glares at Little Phoenix and angrily says, "This is mine. If it's broken, can you afford to pay for it?" Qi Huang's hand gently holds the chess piece in his hand and puts it on the chessboard. Activating his spiritual power, the little chess piece begins to slide forward, over the mountains, over the ridges, and see the sea. Obviously, it's the little chess piece that moves, but Qi Huang feels that these scenes are seen and experienced by himself. His face shows a genuine youthful smile, low with pride and happiness. "This is Jun Muyan's gift to me, only for me." Muyan speaks domineeringly in front of Qi Huang, but when she leaves the space, her heart seems to be bleeding. She was originally a pauper, and now she doesn't even have a crystal stone. Sure enough, it's not easy to raise a brat. Qi Huang, that little bastard, is not as considerate as her Xiao Bao, who will help her make money. At this time, third brother's painting should almost be finished, right? While thinking, she walks out of the door. But the strange thing is that the whole Xiaoyaro school is quiet. There was neither second senior brother shouting and practicing, nor fourth senior sister making a fuss. Even eldest senior brother's nagging voice was absent. What's going on? Is everyone so tired after painting that they all went to take a nap? While thinking about this, Muyan pushes open the door of the meeting hall. Suddenly, 6 figures standing in rows come into view. "What are you doing?" Muyan's soul is almost scared out of her body. She pats her chest and snappily says. She sees the 6 people standing in the middle of the meeting hall, motionless. Who else can it be but her fellow apprentices? Unexpectedly, after Muyan asks, none of the 6 people speak. On the contrary, each of them blinks and keeps glancing to the left, looking anxious and nervous. Left? What is that place? Oh, Muyan remembers, it's a locked courtyard. She had once wanted to push the door open to take a look, but was stopped by second senior brother. Qin Ju's speech isn't fluent, and he stutters for a long time. Mu Yang can only roughly understand. This courtyard was a forbidden area. No one was allowed to enter. Why were the senior and junior brothers staring at the courtyard of the forbidden area? You want me to take a look at the courtyard? Lung Yumor and the rest blinked their eyes furiously, their expressions distorted. Oh, Mu Yang said, then I'll go take a look. With that, he turned around and walked towards the courtyard. A drop of cold sweat rolled down Yun Ruohan's forehead. Even Chu Moli, who had always been the calmest, twitched the corners of his mouth. His face was filled with reluctance. Luo Yu even closed her eyes, a mourning expression on her face. Finished, finished, 6th senior sister is finish. Arriving in front of the courtyard, Mu Yang discovered that the lock on the door had been smashed open. She reached out and gently pushed the door, and it slid backward silently. What he saw was a somewhat barren but still tidy and elegant scenery. No, compared to the Xiao Yarrow school, which was so poor that only dust remained, this was already a very luxurious courtyard. There was even a pond in the middle of the courtyard. Chapter 1050. Mu Yang took a few steps closer to the pool. She was thinking about why her fellow apprentices were standing motionless in the meeting hall and why they called her to enter the courtyard. Suddenly, an alarm went off in her heart. Then, she heard the sound of water splashing. A tall figure leaped out of the water like a graceful swan. Mu Yang only felt a few drops of water splashing on her face. Her vision blurred and the water vapor filled the air. In the next moment, a cold murderous intent wrapped around her neck. A man's elegant and magnetic voice came into her ears. "Who let you in?" Mu Yang's movements were also very fast, almost at the moment when the tip of the sword touched her throat. The 7 absolute swords instantly changed from a multicolored glow to a crystal-clear long sword, pointing at the man's chest. Mu Yang said coldly, "Who are you? Why did you appear in my Xiao Yarrow school? Young martial uncle, please show mercy." Outside the courtyard, a few people stumbled into the courtyard. "Little martial sister, don't be unreasonable, this is our young martial uncle. Young martial uncle, this is our little martial sister Mu Yang, you must not kill her." Lung Yumor gasped for breath and shouted with a sharp voice. She saw that each of them was sweating profusely, gasping for breath, and their spiritual power was almost exhausted. Obviously, in order to break free from the restriction that made them stand in a row, they spent a lot of energy. Unfortunately, the entrance of these people didn't attract the attention of the 2 people. "Young martial uncle?" Mu Yang stared blankly, then slowly saw the man in front of her, and suddenly gasped in shock. She saw that the young man in front of her was wearing wet clothes that tightly stuck to his body, outlining the man's perfect and vigorous lines. Sparkling and translucent water droplets fell from the man's wet hair. Her gaze slid past his tall nose, thin lips, and his sexy Adam's apple. She slid down his drenched shirt and his heaving chest. Everyone present swallowed their saliva. Even though they knew that the person in front of them was awe-inspiring, and as terrible as a devil. But the peerless appearance of the young martial uncle, moreover, it was a painting of a beautiful man coming out of the water, it was too tempting. If it wasn't those rough men from the whole Yi sect, but their young martial uncle coming out of the bath, Leng Yumor wiped the blood from her nose. Ling Yusheng's face was completely red as he covered it with an embroidered handkerchief. The other disciples all turned their faces away and looked at the sky and the earth, but they didn't dare to look at the handsome man in front of them. Only Mu Yang, after seeing the face of the man in front of her, blinks her eyes, and blinks again. Without thinking, he blurted out, "Ah, it's you, the handsome man who was forced into marriage." Luo Yu swallowed her saliva. 6th senior sister, you've seen junior uncle before? Mu Yang withdrew the 7 absolute sword in her hand and took a step back. She coughed lightly and saluted the handsome man opposite her. Jun Mu Yang greets young martial uncle. The handsome man on the other side, oh, no, it was Luo Yunxiao, calmly withdrew his sword. Are you the new disciple of senior brother? Mu Yan nods, and she can't help but sneak another glance at Luo Yunxiao. It couldn't be helped. Everyone loved beauty. What's more, this young martial uncle was a little too beautiful. Oh, it would be great if he could be painted, it would definitely be a masterpiece. As she was lost in thought, Mu Yang suddenly heard the man opposite her slowly say in a pleasant magnetic voice, "You really like to peep as always." Chapter 1051. What do you mean she likes to peep? Last time was an accident, this time is even more of an accident. She says with a faint smile, young martial uncle must be joking. Your heroic deeds have been written and sung. Who in the world doesn't know about it? Do I need to peep? Story? What story? Everyone is curious. Luo Yu's expression changes slightly. She thinks of something and desperately winks at Mu Yang. Unfortunately, Mu Yang doesn't see it. She rummages in her space and pulls out a few books. Those years young Master Yun Xiao chased me, the overbearing young Master Yun Xiao fell in love with me, the sweet wife of young Master Yun Xiao Chong, who alala, the wind blows the grass in the courtyard. Apart from the sound of rustling, there is nothing else. Phut, Lung Yu Mo can't help but laugh. She quickly covers her mouth and holds it in. The other people of the Xiao Yarrow sect also blushes, but they don't even dare to show that they want to laugh. Luo Yunxiao looks at the books on the ground. His gaze is stagnant for a while. Then he slowly raises his head. In the next moment, Mu Yang saw a gentle and clear smile slowly appear on his pillously handsome face. RRR, it's over. Young martial uncle is angry. Junior sister, quickly kneel down and kowtow to apologize. Young martial uncle, calm down. Junior sister didn't do it on purpose. Yes, young martial uncle, we only have one junior sister. Mu Yang feels inexplicable. Even if this Luo Yunxiao is very powerful and strict, they don't need to be this afraid, right? Then, she sees Luo Yunxiao slowly walking towards her. An invisible pressure shrouds Mu Yang in a split second, making her almost unable to breathe. Mu Yang has always had the temperament of a donkey. If you go along with her hair, she'll be able to reason with you. If you threaten and use your power to oppress people, even if you are the Emperor of Heaven, there is no way to make her bow. She sneers. Being shrouded by that pressure, she doesn't lower her head. Instead, she slowly raises her head and looks straight into Luo Yunxiao's eyes. The girl's face is pale and her forehead is covered with fine beads of sweat. But that pair of eyes is as bright as the stars in the night sky. The bottom of her peach blossom eyes are like ripples of water, as if the light of the stars and the moon can never be extinguished. Luo Yunxiao seems to be stunned. The next moment, big beauty, I finally see you again. A shrill and wretched voice that could pierce through the clouds came whistling over. Before Mu Yang could react, she felt a weight on her body. Something hit her chest, and it was desperately trying to drill into her clothes. Mu Yang's eyes are sharp and her hands are quick. She quickly grabs that hoodlum who wants to take advantage of her and carries it in the air. She saw a strange spirit beast with big eyes, a bulbous nose, and a slender body. It was wagging its tail with all its might and pouting its mouth, as if it wanted to kiss her. Mu Yang's mouth twitches. Kai's kiss? Beauty, you still remember me. Ha ha ha, I knew you wouldn't forget about me. Quickly come and give me a joss stick. Mew tilde before it could move its mouth closer, its neck had already been grabbed by another person. When Sai Wen opened her eyes, she saw her master's face, which was so beautiful that it could make one cry, but it was also so terrifying that it could make one cry. Kai Wen shivered, revealed a flattering smile, and called, Master. Chapter 1052. Bang! Kai Wen is directly thrown to the ground by Luo Yunxiao. Mu Yang has a faint smile. Young martial uncle's spiritual pet is really interesting. I heard that spiritual pets generally resemble their masters. Since the masters have so many romantic affairs, it's not strange for spiritual pets to like beauties. Kai Wen raises her flattened little head and fearlessly continues. Oh, big beauty, have you also read those stories about the masters? Are they good to watch? Are they exciting? Some of them were told to the writers after I, Master Kai Wen, added oil and vinegar. Mu Yang bursts out laughing. Looking at Luo Yunxiao's expressionless face, but overflowing with murderous aura, she faintly smiles. Then Mu Yang, I wish that young martial uncle's confidence will soon spread all over the world. Hehe, you dare to say that this lady likes to peep? Peep your sister. I was sleeping well, but you guys disturbed my sleep with your chatter, and even implicated Jiang Xinyu to vent her anger on me. Now you even dare to say that I like to peep. Screw young martial uncle. Even if it's young martial uncle, I'll still do the same. After saying that, she turns around and leaves, dragging the stunned fourth sister and the others. In the courtyard, after Kai Wen finishes speaking, she remembers what she just said. She shakily raises her head, grabs her head with her claws, and stutters. Master, just now, what Kai Wen said, you didn't hear it, did you? Luo Yunxiao slowly hooks up the corners of her lips, revealing a clear and gentle smile. What do you think? Oh. Master, spare us RRR. Outside the courtyard. Lung Yumor and the others are still in a state of shock. Only after walking far away did they wipe the cold sweat on their foreheads. Little sister, you're too powerful. You dare to talk to young martial uncle like that. The eldest brother is so scared that he stutters like the second brother. Little junior sister, you've really eaten a bear's heart and a leopard's gall to even dare to offend little martial uncle. Mu Yang touches her nose. Is young martial uncle very scary? It's more than scary, it's very, very scary. Ling Yusheng screamed. You idiot. You're dead for sure. What if young martial uncle comes to settle the score with you? Mu Yang is really puzzled this time. It's just junior martial uncle. I don't see you guys being so afraid of master. Are you kidding me? Can master compare to youngest martial uncle? Lung Yumor looks at Mu Yang resentfully. 100 masters tied together are not as scary as a little martial uncle. Chu Moli coughed lightly. He went straight to the point and said, our carefree school doesn't have any income. It's all thanks to little martial uncle that we've managed to survive until today. This time, Mu Yang understood. The god of fortune of the Xiao Yarrow school, the only source of income. Of course, he couldn't afford to offend him, but the problem was that she had already offended him. What else could she do? He can't kill me in the middle of the night, right? Lung Yumor patted her shoulder. Little junior sister, you better pray for your own good fortune. After saying that, everyone looked at her with sympathy and pity. They shook their heads and turned to leave. Mu Yang. What the hell, making her feel uneasy. Could it be that youngest martial uncle would really take revenge on her? She doesn't know if what Lung Yumor and the others said yesterday was too unbelievable. Mu Yang had a nightmare of being pranked by Luo Yunxiao for a whole night. When she woke up the next day, she still felt listless. She went to Tianguang ruins to take a look and found that there was still no talisman sold. Chapter 1053. As soon as she walks out of the door, Muyan sees her master, Shiqing, waiting outside. Muyan's heart leaps with joy. She thinks to herself, master is here. Even if little martial uncle gets angry out of humiliation and wants to retaliate, he can't retaliate too excessively, right? Unexpectedly, when Shiqing sees her, he immediately steps forward and holds her hand. With a solemn expression, he says, Yang, my good disciple, master has to go into seclusion during this time. I don't have time to teach you cultivation. Muyan opens her mouth to say, it doesn't matter if you don't teach me. In any case, she's learning the skills of a Shun musician, and no one else can teach her. Who knew that Shiqing would interrupt what she was about to say, and the next sentence was like a bolt from the blue, striking her in the head. Fortunately, your little martial uncle will be staying in the sect for a long time. Master has already talked to your little martial uncle. These days, your little martial uncle will teach you swordsmanship. Wait a minute. Muyan is so startled that she suddenly raises her voice. Are you kidding me? Shiqing smiles and says, oh, I know that you little girls like Yunxiao's appearance. You must be overjoyed to hear that he's letting you learn swordsmanship from him. Overjoyed your sister. She's scared to death. Master, I don't want to learn swordsmanship from little martial uncle. I can practice by myself. Shiqing looks at her with a clear expression. Little girl, this old man has seen through your thoughts, so I'm sorry. Don't worry, this old man won't laugh at you. Your little martial uncle's swordsmanship and cultivation are very, very powerful, even far higher than master's. He has always been unwilling to teach people. Even your fellow apprentices have never received his guidance. This time, when master went to ask him to teach you, I thought he wouldn't agree. I didn't expect that he would readily agree. Yang, my good disciple, you're really lucky. Lucky what are? She's going to be in big trouble. What readily agree? This Luo Yunxiao, absolutely, 100% wants to retaliate against her. Muyan shivers and promptly says, Master, I really don't need anyone to teach me. I can practice swordsmanship by myself. My swordsmanship is very good. Shiqing gives her a blank look and says to himself, What kind of swordsmanship is that? You're just blindly slashing with a sword. What a waste of your powerful talent and strength. Shi Qing is about to open his mouth to persuade her, when a magnetic and deep male voice suddenly rings out from behind Muyan. You think that your swordsmanship is very good? Why don't we have a match? Mu Yang suddenly turns around. He saw that Luo Yunxiao was already standing there and looking at him with an indifferent expression. He was wearing a lake blue robe embroidered with cloud patterns and a silver jade belt around his waist, which made him look even taller and more graceful. As for that face, under the morning light, it looked even more like the dawn of spring. His sideburns looked like they were cut by a knife, and he was incomparably handsome. But when Muyan sees this face, she only feels the blue veins on her forehead throbbing with pain. The nightmare from last night seemed to come back to him at this moment. Little martial uncle must be joking. How would I dare to fight you? Luo Yunxiao took a step forward and said with a faint smile, or are you afraid? Are you afraid of losing too badly? Mu Yang was provoked by this and immediately said, let's compete. Damn it, I'm not afraid of you. The result of the competition was naturally Mu Yang's crushing defeat. Even if Luo Yunxiao suppresses his own cultivation to the same level as Mu Yang, first stage abstinence. Chapter 1054. But under Luo Yunxiao's storm-like sword attacks, Mu Yang still has nowhere to escape. In just 10 short rounds, she already has no strength to fight back, and is knocked down to the ground. Luo Yunxiao sheathes her sword and looks down at her. Wait for me here tomorrow at 5 in the morning. Saying that, she turns around and leaves without the slightest hesitation. Mu Yang sits in a daze for a long time before she lets out a long sigh. She has always been arrogant, but arrogance doesn't mean conceit and stupidity. In the fight with Luo Yunxiao just now, she clearly felt the difference between her and Luo Yunxiao. Even if they are both in the first stage of Anidia, even if she uses her domain. However, compared to this man, there is still a world of difference. She still has a long way to go if she wants to become a true powerhouse. Who the hell is that guy? Why is he so annoying? Qi Huang's indignant voice suddenly comes to her ears. Mu Yang comes back to herself and stands up from the ground. She says with a smile, my younger martial uncle, Luo Yunxiao. The most handsome man under the heavens in those stories you threw in? Bah, he's not that good looking. If this sage could go out, he would definitely sweep the world. How could he be worse than him? She hears Qi Huang gnashing his teeth, his voice filled with envy and jealousy. Mu Yang bursts into laughter. Qi Xiaowing, you're not jealous that younger martial uncle is better looking than you, are you? Jun Mu Yang. Qi Huang stomps his feet in anger. Are you blind? How could that sissy human be better looking than this sage? Good, good, good. We, Qi Huang, are the most handsome and most beautiful in the world, okay? Mu Yang simply laughs until her stomach hurts. She didn't expect Qi Huang to be a tool spirit that cares so much about appearance. But when she first met Di Mingju, she didn't see this guy like to compare beauty with others. Why does he explode when he sees Luo Yunxiao? Is it because they're the same type? Phut, Qi Xiaowang actually has the nerve to say that Luo Yunxiao is a sissy. Wasn't he even more beautiful than Luo Yunxiao? Wasn't he more androgynous? The next day, at 5 in the morning, Mu Yang arrives at the place where she suffered a crushing defeat against Luo Yunxiao yesterday. However, the surroundings were empty, not even a shadow of a person could be seen. Mu Yang stands there quietly, neither leaving nor looking for him. About a quarter of an hour later, a clear and pleasant male voice rang out in the pitch-black night sky. Your willpower is pretty good. Mu Yang smiles faintly. If I want to learn the sword from junior martial uncle, I naturally have this bit of determination. As soon as she finished speaking, something flashed before her eyes. An ethereal figure had already appeared in the morning mist. The starless and moonless dawn was so dim and muddy. However, when this white-robed man appeared, everything in the world seemed to have been cleansed. Just looking at that figure made him feel like he was in a dream, unable to break free. But the bottom of Muyan's eyes are clear, there's no surprise, no infatuation. His eyes were filled with determination as he looked at the person who was slowly approaching him. the determination to become stronger. The corners of Luo Yunxiao's mouth curled up slightly as she looked at the girl. I thought you didn't want to learn the sword from me. Mu Yang touches her nose, speaking very calmly. That's because I was afraid that junior martial uncle would retaliate against me. But now that I've discovered that you have genuine talent, even if I get retaliated against, it's worth it. Chapter 1055. Or else she's afraid of him like a mouse is afraid of a cat. He has never seen someone like Muyan. She peeps at him calmly, rebukes him calmly, and now she says that she's afraid of his revenge and wants to learn swordsmanship from him. Luo Yunxiao takes a deep look at the girl in front of him. It's as if at this moment, he just realized that this girl's appearance is so peerless. She's not the least bit inferior to him. However, people who get close to Muyan are often attracted by her unique aura, and then notice that pair of seductive and clear peach blossom eyes. On the contrary, her devastatingly beautiful face was often overlooked by others. Luo Yunxiao takes a step back, raises his hand, and a round iron plate is thrown on the ground. Muyan blinks, her face full of doubt. What's this? As soon as this thought flashes through her mind, she sees Luo Yunxiao throw a stone in the direction of the iron plate. The stone whistles and flies out. However, before the stone can get within 5 meters of the iron plate, it suddenly shines, overflowing with murderous intent. Swish, swish, swish. In an instant, the stone is crushed into powder, not even dregs are left. Muyan swallows. This is a sword array. Luo Yunxiao looks at her in surprise. You're quite knowledgeable. After a pause, he continues, this sword array only covers a radius of 5 meters. Once you enter the sword array, you won't be able to come out until the spiritual power of the plate is exhausted. Even if these sword auras chop you into minced meat, I won't let you out. Muyan swallows again, her face a little pale. Just now, when the stone was thrown, she clearly saw it. There are at least 30 sword auras in the sword array. Within a small radius of 5 meters, there was almost no space for her to move or dodge in the face of 30 powerful sword chis. Luo Yunxiao looks at her mockingly, afraid? Young martial uncle wants me to be afraid. Muyan looks at Luo Yunxiao, the corner of her mouth slowly hooks up into a stubborn sneer. If this is young martial uncle's way of revenge, I have to say that you've found the right way. In Muyan's dictionary, the word afraid has never existed. After saying that, she doesn't look at Luo Yunxiao again, and strides into the sword array. Luo Yunxiao was stunned. He thought that the girl would beg for mercy. At the very least, they would ask him to reduce his sword chi by 10. Based on the battle between Luo Yunxiao and Mu Yang yesterday, he knew that 20 sword chi should be Mu Yang's limit. Unexpectedly, Mu Yang did not even bargain and directly entered the sword formation. What a stubborn little girl. However, with the cultivation of the first level of Anidia, could the little girl really come out alive after entering the blood slaughter sword formation, that even a golden core stage expert could not withstand? Luo Yunxiao raised her eyebrows and waved her hand. A table and a chair appeared behind her. On the table was a fragrant spirit wine and a lustrous and translucent zither. Looking at the sword formation that was filled with sword light and murderous aura, as well as the young girl shuttling through the sword chi, Luo Yunxiao poured a cup full of spirit wine and drained it. Then, she reached out and lightly plucked the strings of her zither. The morning light came out from the east and shone on the land behind the mountain of the Xiao Yarrow school. Amidst the lush mountains and clear waters, there was a white-robed man with an unparalleled elegance and grace, playing the zither with his bare hands. Chapter 1056. This was supposed to be a scene of peace and tranquility, a scene so beautiful that it would enchant anyone's heart. But when they got closer, they realized that the man's posture was beautiful, but what kind of demonic music was being played by those slender hands? Those who heard it wanted to pass out immediately. As for the girl who was dancing with the sword, she was surrounded by a murderous aura. Her body was covered with sword marks, and her light-colored clothes were dyed red with blood. Her weak body passed through the murderous sword light, as if she would be crushed into pieces at any time. In the Xiao Yarrow school, the disciples were hiding in their rooms, covering their heads with quilts, and wailing. What's going on? Why is Junior Uncle playing the zither again? Junior Uncle only plays the zither when he's in a bad mood. That bastard dared to mess with Junior Uncle. Master, I beg you, quickly tell youngest Martial Uncle to stop playing. Bastard, who doesn't know that anyone who disturbs Yunxiao when he's playing the zither will be cut into pieces? Do you want to kill me? If you want to go by yourself. While they were wailing, suddenly, bang, the entire Xiao Yarrow sect was shaken. Then, the ear-piercing demonic sound also stopped. What's going on? What's going on? Everyone rushed to the back of the mountain. What was originally a huge piece of green turf now had a huge hole blown into it. A pale-faced girl covered in blood was crawling out of the pit shakily. Junior sister, how did you get hurt so badly? Junior sister, who hurt you? I'm going to avenge you. Mu Yang pushed away the people of the Xiao Yarrow school, covered the bleeding wound on her shoulder, and walked to Luo Yunxiao step by step. Her face was as white as the snow in winter, but her eyes were brighter than the hottest sunlight in summer. Junior Martial Uncle, do I pass the test now? Luo Yunxiao looked up at her. For the first time, his indifferent face was moved. He had seen this girl 3 times, and each time, he was surprised. But this time, it wasn't just a surprise, it was a shock. The Bloodslaughter sword formation. He had thought that she would not be able to withstand the Bloodslaughter sword formation. He was even prepared to rescue her in a quarter of an hour. He did not expect her to break the blood-slaughtering sword formation and even destroy the formation plate. At the last moment, when she destroyed the array disc, the domain that erupted made Luo Yunxiao tremble from the depths of her soul. This was a girl with unimaginable talent. This was a cultivator who was born to stand at the peak of power. Luo Yunxiao glanced at the wounds on her body and slowly opened her mouth. Her voice was inexplicably low and hoarse. 3 days from now, I'll start teaching you swordsmanship. Every day, we'll start at 5 in the morning and end at 9 in the morning. With just this one sentence, the coldness and stubbornness on Muyan's face all turns into a bright and beautiful smile. Because she knew that Luo Yunxiao hadn't agreed to teach her for the sake of revenge, nor was it to play tricks on her. Instead, he was really going to teach her sword techniques. She bowed slightly to Luo Yunxiao. Thank you, Junior Martial Aunt. Junior sister, you're going to learn the sword from Junior Martial Uncle? That's great. Chapter 1057. Although she was covered in cuts and bruises, it made everyone's heart ache. But knowing that this was a test given to her by little Martial Uncle, and that she finally passed the test, everyone is sincerely happy for her. Even Chu Moli whispers, in the Xiozhen continent, if little Martial Uncle claims to be number 1 in swordsmanship, no one dares to claim to be second. You learn well. Mu Yang feels everyone's loyal congratulations for her, and also shows a faint smile. Awu, great beauty, your smile is making this lord's heart melt, quickly let this lord have a fragrant one. Kai Wen has just woken up from her sleep when she sees Mu Yang's enchanting smile. She screams and flies towards her. However, just as she flies into the air, she is caught by a slender, fair, well-proportioned hand. Awu, master, let me go, I want to be in love with my Yang Yang. Bastard master, are you envious and jealous that I have skin contact with my Yang Yang, so you're taking revenge on me? Awu, master, I know I was wrong, spare me rr. In the next few days, Mu Yang spends her days learning swordsmanship with Luo Yunxiao, healing in the afternoon, and selling talismans in the Tianguang ruins at night. Luo Yunxiao is really a very strict teacher. Every day, Mu Yan would be covered with cuts and bruises. But at the same time, Mu Yang's strength is also advancing at a rapid pace. If she meets Qinizhou again at this time, even if she doesn't use her domain, she can still beat the other party up. Every time Qiuqiu helps Mu Yang heal, he would shed tears. Hoo, beautiful uncle is too much, every time he injures you so badly. Qiuqiu doesn't like beautiful uncle anymore. If little brother knew that beautiful sister was so seriously injured, he would be sad to death. Mu Yang gently touches little Phoenix's head, and softly says, Qiuqiu, Don't cry, I'm fine. If you want to become stronger, this pain and suffering is nothing. Only when I become stronger can I go anywhere in the Shoujen world, can I find Xiao Bao, right? After being comforted by her for a while, little Phoenix stops sobbing and crying. Qi Huang is so angry that he almost overturns everything in the space. This bastard, hurting a woman, he's not a thing. Muyan found it funny and said, Junior Martial Uncle was only a little strict with me, he never really hurt me. Qi Xiaowang, thank you for your concern. Who cares about you? Qi Huang exploded once more. Who asked you to be this exalted one's master? Slapping your face is the same as slapping this exalted one's face. That's why I can't bear it. It's not because I care about you. This twisted brat. Muyan laughs despite herself. Seeing her like this, Qi Huang flew into a rage out of humiliation and said, Didn't you speak up for Luo Yunxiao because he's good-looking? Don't you already have a man? Could it be that you want to fall in love with someone else? Why you? If you fall in love with someone else, why don't you choose me? Don't tell me I'm not as good-looking as that gigolo Luo Yunxiao. Wait a minute, why is the topic back to who is good-looking again? Mu Yang stroked her forehead and said with a headache, Qi Xiao Huang, don't mess around. You better look at the most handsome and charming, okay? Liar, if this lord is the best looking, then why didn't you choose this lord? Qi Huang gritted his teeth. You really still fell for that pretty boy. What's so good about that pretty boy? Isn't he just a bag of skin? This lord is going to scratch that face of his. Chapter 1058. Young Martial Uncle's strength is unfathomable, don't give me trouble. What's more, young Martial Uncle is my Martial Uncle, and also half a master to me. How could I like him? The one I like, from the past to the present, from the past life to this life, has always been Di Ming Ju alone. Me. Qi Huang turns his head, looking at her in disbelief. Mu Yang has finished treating her wounds. Looking at his awkward appearance, she can't help but smile and rub his head. I've never seen you so hostile towards Di Ming Ju before. Why do you hate young Martial Uncle so much? In fact, Mu Yang hated Luo Yunxiao in the beginning. But after getting along with her for some time, she knows. Although young Martial Uncle is a strict and unpredictable person, once he makes a promise, he will definitely do his best. Her rapid progress in this period of time is all thanks to young Martial Uncle's guidance. Moreover, she bought the book about young Martial Uncle and showed it to everyone. This behavior is really too much. But in the end, young Martial Uncle only retaliated a little and didn't do anything to her. In fact, he's a good person in nature. Or it should be said that the entire Xiaoyaro sect is very good. It allowed her, who was alone, to find a sense of belonging in the Shoujen continent. Qi Huang frowns and murmurs, I don't know why, but when I see him, I feel unhappy. It's not disgust and contempt towards humans, nor is it hatred to kill. It's a kind of unhappiness that repels people for no reason. Mu Yang smiles and shakes her head, about to say something. Suddenly, there's a commotion outside. Third brother, how are you? Mu Yang quickly walks out of the room and sees Luo Yu hurrying towards Chu Moli's room. She quickly pulls him back. What's wrong with third brother? Luo Yu frowns, her eyes full of worry, but she still advises, sixth sister, it's okay. That's third brother's old illness. He will act up on the 15th of every month. He'll be fine after this night. Mu Yang wants to follow, but Luo Yu stops her. He says awkwardly, little sister, when third brother acts up, it's a little scary. You shouldn't go. Right at this moment, a heart-wrenching roar came from Chu Moli's room. That roar contained boundless resentment, pain, and fury. It was like a wild beast that had fallen into a hopeless situation. That kind of desolation, that kind of unwillingness, and that kind of despair. Mu Yang frowns and brushes aside the falling rain. I'll go take a look. When she pushed open the door to Chu Moli's room, a fishy smell assaulted her senses. Get out, all of you get out. I don't want to see you. Chu Moli, who was lying on the bed, let out a sharp roar as he struggled hysterically. However, His body was tightly bound. Eldest martial brother Yun Ruohan and second martial brother Qin Ju were carefully using knives to cut open the skin on his thighs, calves, and soles. As the skin split open, streams of dark red blood flowed out. The stench was coming from the blood. Chu Moli, who was usually gentle and refined, was currently tied to the bed, his hair disheveled. He cut a sorry figure. He did not have the slightest bit of his usual calmness and black-bellied self, only full of desolation and humiliation. As if feeling Muyan's line of sight. Chapter 1059. Mu Yang felt as if something was tugging at her heart. Her third senior brother, who had lost all his dignity, freedom, and health, was clearly in a much more embarrassing state than usual. But Mu Yang felt that this was the real third senior brother, Chu Moli. She also understood why he was clearly bright and cheerful, but the paintings he drew were bloody and terrifying, full of despair and hatred that connected to hell. Mu Yang stepped forward, ignoring Chu Moli's roars and resistance, and grasped his pulse. However, when she checked his pulse, she only felt that the spiritual power in his body was in chaos. It was as if there was a terrible power that imprisoned all his cultivation and spiritual power somewhere, and it could erupt at any time. Junior sister, don't waste your strength. Yun Ruohan shook her head with a bitter smile. Third junior brother isn't poisoned, nor injured. His cursed. Junior sister, it's better if you don't know. Yun Ruohan patted her shoulder. You go out first. Wait until tomorrow, third brother will be back to normal. Qin Ju tightly squeezed Chu Moli's pale, slender, and powerless legs. Her eyes reddened as she choked with sobs. Third brother, don't be afraid. This time, you can also get through it. You won't die. Chu Moli suddenly bit his lips, blood seeping out from between his teeth. His eyes were crimson as he endured the bone-piercing pain and hatred, but he still couldn't stop the despair from turning into tears. You guys, let junior sister out, he said in a hoarse voice, emphasizing each word. Yun Ruohan wiped her tears. Junior sister, you go out first. Don't look. Mu Yang took a deep breath. Not only did she not go out, she took out the Tian Mo Qin instead. Her slender fingers pressed on the strings, gently plucking them. The floating like a dream skill was activated bit by bit. The sound of the zither flowed, and the spiritual power flowed, as if an invisible barrier was wrapping around Chu Moli. It blocked all the pain, sorrow, hatred, and despair outside the barrier. Third senior brother, I still can't relieve your pain right now. Then, please temporarily forget about this desperate situation in reality in your sweet dreams. No matter what that curse is, one day, I will definitely get rid of it for you. On the messy bed, Chu Moli closed his eyes. His eyebrows and the corners of his eyes were still filled with pain, but they were slowly being dyed with tranquility and peace. Qin Ju, who was currently holding Chu Moli's leg, suddenly cried out in alarm. The blood has turned red, it's turning red. That's great. Third bro has finally made it through this ordeal. Sob. All three, I've made it. Yun Ruohan raised her head in surprise and looked at Muyan. Junior sister, what did you just do? The zither you played just now. Mu Yang wipes the sweat from her forehead and shows a weak smile. This was the first time she had played Fleeting Life Like a Dream, using only spiritual energy, and it was the level 3 version of Fleeting Life Like a Dream. Chu Moli's mind was also too firm, and he was too immersed in his own pain and hatred. As a result, this dream was very tiring for her to weave. Mu Yang smiled faintly. I just let third brother have a sweet dream, but it doesn't solve the root of the problem. Eldest brother, what is this, curse? Chapter 1060. Muyan glances at Qin Ju, then looks at Luo Yu next to her. Qin Ju lowers her head, avoiding her line of sight. Luo Yu also has a confused expression. Clearly, Luo Yu also doesn't know what the curse is. She frowns, but in the end, she doesn't ask anything. She turns around and returns to her room. As soon as the exhausted Muyan returns to her room, she falls into a deep sleep. She doesn't realize that a gaze has been watching Chu Moli's room since she was playing the zither. Until she leaves, it still follows her back, until she completely disappears behind the door. Master, is she the person you're looking for? Kai Wen's voice no longer has its usual vulgarity, leaving only a deep solemnity. Luo Yunxiao looks up at the silver moon and stars, his handsome face without any expression. However, his pitch-black eyes were bottomless and seemed to contain ripples. Just when Kai Wen thinks that her master won't answer, she hears the man's low and faintly discernible voice. Perhaps, in the unseen world, no one can escape. The next morning, Muyin yawns and goes out. She's about to go to Tianguang ruins to learn swordsmanship from her junior martial uncle. As soon as she goes out, she gets a fright. She sees a handsome man sitting outside her door. The man is sitting in a wheelchair, with an easel in front of him. He's holding a brush in his hand, painting on the canvas. But the problem is that it's dawn, and the direction he's facing is pitch black. There's nothing there. Is he painting a ghost? Third brother, have you recovered from your illness? Muyin cautiously asks, why did you come out to paint so early? Why didn't you sleep a bit more? Chu Moli's hands don't stop, and his eyes don't even glance at her. However, he said indifferently, I heard what you said in the zither yesterday. What? Chu Moli turns around to look at her. Muyin doesn't know how to describe that look. It's tsunder, expectant, and also has a trace of neurotic willfulness. You said that one day, the curse on me will be removed. Muyin's body stiffens, and she touches her nose. Third brother, your hearing is really good. I thought you were already immersed in a dream. Chu Moli coldly snorts, since you said it, you have to take responsibility. Cough. Third senior brother should at least tell me what the curse is. When Mu Yang asked this, the expression on Chu Moli's face visibly dimmed. He stared blankly at the dark night sky for a long time before he said with flagging interest, Little junior sister, I was just joking with you just now. If you're late, young martial uncle won't let you off. Mu Yang frowns. Why were eldest brother and third brother unwilling to mention the curse? Just how terrifying was the curse? Was it scarier than gut-piercing poison or GU worms? She hesitantly wanted to leave, but just as she took a step forward, she couldn't help but turn back. Third senior brother, I really can't remove the curse on you right now. Word by word, she said resolutely, but in the future, every time you have an attack, I will definitely be by your side and weave your dreams with the music of the zither, so that you will suffer less. Even if I can't be by your side, I will definitely think of a way to reduce your pain. Do you trust me? Chu Moli suddenly raised his head and stared straight at her. You, who exactly are you? Chapter 1061. I forgot to tell third senior brother, my profession is a doctor. I use the zither as medicine and sound to treat illnesses. I'm a music doctor. Chu Moli stares at her blankly for a long time. What's churning in his mind isn't his own illness, nor is it the miraculous zither music that can alleviate his pain. Rather, you're a fucking doctor. You can beat the whole Yi sect's elder Shu Qing, who's at the 9th rank of fasting. You can make little martial uncle treat you differently and make an exception to teach you swordsmanship, a peerless fighting genius. You're telling me that your main profession is a doctor. Mu Yang sees Chu Moli's blank expression, his complexion alternating between green and white. She doesn't know why he's bewitched. She can't help but shake her head, then turns around and rushes to the back of the mountain. In fact, she's also very afraid of little martial uncle. If she's really late, little martial uncle will definitely punish her until she has nothing left to live for. But just as she takes a step, she hears Chu Moli's soft voice, Little junior sister, this is for you. Mu Yang stares blankly. Turning around, she sees that Chu Moli has already taken down the drawing paper and handed it to Mu Yang. He's giving her a drawing? But what can third senior brother draw against a mass of darkness? Could it be that it was that bloody and terrifying skeleton and hell again? Thinking like this, Mu Yang reluctantly takes the drawing. However, the moment she sees the drawing, she's stunned. It's not a bloody hell with rolling lava. It's also not a naked body of the whole Yi sect being played with. Instead, it's a scene of a white-clothed girl performing a sword dance. Green mountains and clear waters, a gentle breeze. The girl holding the long sword is clearly still, but it's as if she can see her nimble and dancing figure. The white-clothed girl only shows a vague side of her face, but Mu Yang recognizes that it's her. Moreover, it's her in the eyes of eldest senior brother, second senior brother, third senior brother, fourth senior sister, fifth senior brother, and seventh senior brother. It's like the deepest expectations and love of the older brothers who protect their little sister and are proud of her little sister. Every stroke, all the feelings have already been integrated into the drawing, ready to burst out. The tips of Muyan's brows and the corners of her eyes are slowly tainted with a faint smile. She turns to look at Chu Moli. I didn't expect third senior brother to be able to draw a normal drawing. I thought you only knew how to draw skeletons, pools of blood, and naked bodies. Chu Moli's face, which had originally been anticipating her reaction, immediately darkened. He glared at her for a long time, unable to say anything. From the moment Mu Yang saw this senior brother, he had been wearing a mask. Seeing him reveal his true emotions, he couldn't help but burst into laughter. However, she had just laughed for a while when Chu Moli's cold voice entered her ears. Junior sister, you're already late. Tianguang Ruins. The Laozi is #1 under the heavens, shop is still deserted, and the talismans that Muyan has drawn have already reached several hundred, but not a single one has been sold. The reason was not that the first and second grade talismans were so unpopular. It was because the talismans in the lower 3 districts of the Tianguang Ruins were almost all purchased and monopolized by the earth-shattering heaven-shocking shop. Mu Yang had also received a request from the earth-shattering and heaven-shocking shop, asking her to sell all her talismans to them at a low price. First-grade talismans, which could have been sold for 3 to 5 crystals, were only sold for 2 crystals. The price of a second-grade talisman was even lowered to 8 crystals by them. Mu Yang originally hated Liu Ruoxuan, so how could she sell the talismans to the mountain-breaking sect's shop at a low price? So she directly refused. Chapter 1062. Now, all the practitioners in the lower 3 districts will come to my earth-shattering and sky-shocking shop to buy talismans. I'd like to see when the talismans of your 1-star garbage shop will be sold out. Hence, from then on, the already scarce customers in the store were all gone. During this period, Muyan also encountered people who wanted to enter Muyan's shop to buy talismans, but they were dragged away by their companions. What good stuff can a 1-star shop like this have? Let me tell you, if you want to buy talismans, you have to go to the earth-shattering shop. There is a talisman drawn by the sacred dance of ice. That talisman was praised by Master Yin Xiu. But the talismans in the earth-shattering and sky-shocking shop are more expensive. It can't be helped even if it's expensive. After all, the quality is good. Moreover, you might not know this, but the mountain-breaking sect has announced that all the talismans in the lower 3 districts will be sold by the earth-shattering sky-shocking shop. If anyone buys talismans from other shops, they won't be able to buy talismans from Bing Ruo anymore. Ah, there's such a thing? Then I'd better not buy it. This kind of small shop only has first and second grade talismans at most. If I want to buy third grade talismans in the future and the shop refuses to sell them to me, what should I do? Listening to the conversation between the two of them, Mu Yang felt extremely aggrieved. So when he woke up in the morning, his face was a little ugly. However, Luo Yunxiao didn't know what was wrong with her today. She actually didn't want to teach her how to practice the sword and instead threw out another array disc. It was also the blood slaughter sword formation, but the last time Muyan broke the sword formation, it was 30 sword cheese, but this time it was 40. Don't be fooled by the fact that there were only 10 more. But this was within a 5-meter radius that couldn't be any smaller. The 40 sword cheese were like a magnificent army with thousands of men and horses whizzing over, directly trampling an ant like Mu Yang into pieces. Once again, Mu Yang falls into a desperate situation where she feels like she's about to be hacked into pieces. Right at this moment, a sharp, ear-piercing, demonic sound that could drive one mad entered his ears. She was already so angry that she was about to explode. Oh, what's going on? Why is Junior Master playing the zither again? Arth, I'm going crazy. Where's Junior Sister? Quickly let Junior Sister stop Junior Martial Uncle from playing the zither. At this time, shouldn't Little Martial Uncle be teaching Little Junior Sister how to practice the sword? Let's quickly go and see how Little Junior Sister provoked Little Martial Uncle. The people of the Xiao Yarrow sect covered their heads with their blankets. After a while, they couldn't hold it in anymore. One by one, they ran to the back of the mountain. Even if they begged, they would ask their youngest martial uncle to stop playing. However, before they could reach the back of the mountain, they heard another familiar rumbling sound. The few of them staggered and hurriedly rushed over. Then, as expected, he saw a familiar scene. A pit was blasted into the flat grassland behind the mountain. Little Junior Sister was covered in blood as she walked towards Luo Yunxiao with a sword in her hand. Just like last time, Luo Yunxiao had a table, a chair, a pot of wine, and a jade cup. Beside the jade cup was an ancient zither with a warm and translucent luster. Seeing Mu Yang approaching, Luo Yunxiao raised her head and looked at Mu Yang with a hint of helplessness. You destroyed another one of my array discs. Everyone's scalp went numb. That was the array disc of the Blood Slaughter sword formation. Even if there were 20 streaks of sword chi, they would still lose a layer of skin if they went in. Chapter 1063. Is Little Junior Sister still human? Everyone sighed and waited for Mu Yang to apologize to Little Martial Uncle. However, Mu Yang suddenly raised her sword and slashed at the zither on the table. With a clang, the zither strings broke and the wine pot trembled. The people of the Xiaoyaro school were dumbfounded. They trembled like dog's tail grass in the winter wind. Heavens! Is Little Junior Sister crazy? She actually cut Little Martial Uncle's zither. Does she not want to live? Mu Yang raised her head and looked at Luo Yunxiao with clenched teeth. Little Martial Uncle, is this called playing the zither? Even an ox playing the zither can't play like this. I was tortured by 10,000 swords in there, and you actually used this demonic sound to poison my ears. Don't you feel guilty? Gulp. The people of the Xiaoyaro school swallowed. Little Junior Sister is so brave. She actually said that Little Martial Uncle was playing the zither like an ox. Although they also felt that even if a cow plucked the strings, it would be better than Little Martial Uncle's playing, but they didn't dare to say so. Luo Yunxiao looked down at her broken zither and frowned. Playing the zither like an ox? Are you saying that I'm not good? Mu Yang sneered and stepped forward to take the zither that had 3 of its strings cut off. Her fingers were slender, pale and cold, and there was still congealed blood on her fingertips. But when she touched the remaining 4 strings, it suddenly seemed to come to life. Clink, clink. The melodious sound of the zither slowly sounded. From lingering and gentle, it became impassioned. The people of the Xiaoyaro school were intoxicated and immersed in it, not willing to wake up. Right. This is the sound of the zither. This is music. Yun Ruohan and the others saw Mu Yang play the zither to help Chu Moli last night, so they knew that Mu Yang's zither skills were far more than that. Clap. Mu Yang suddenly slapped the zither in front of Luo Yunxiao and said word by word, "Did you hear that? This is called playing the zither. Don't use your demonic voice that can't even be compared to sawing wood to poison our ears. Little Master, Uncle." The faces of the people of the Xiaoyaro school were flushed with excitement. Little Junior Sister is right. Little Junior Sister is mighty. Long live Little Junior Sister. It was simply saying what they didn't dare to say. Luo Yunxiao's thick and long eyelashes drooped slightly, casting a faint silhouette on her slightly fair and lustrous cheeks. For some reason, he felt a sense of helplessness and grievance. The people of the Xiao Yarrow sect all gasped, feeling as if they had done something unforgivable. The anger, excitement, and the thought of forcing Little Uncle Master not to play the zither disappeared without a trace at this moment. Even Mu Yang felt her scalp go numb, but her voice no longer had the same imposing manner as before. Your playing is really too awful. I'm just telling the truth. Jun Muyan, since you say that my playing is unpleasant. Luo Yunxiao raises her head, looks straight at Mu Yang, and slowly says, then why don't you teach me how to play the zither? Mu Yan stares blankly. Teach him to play the zither? Why? She was as busy as a dog every day. How could she have time to teach him how to play the zither? Furthermore, it was obvious that Luo Yunxiao was tone deaf when he played that demonic tune. If she wanted to teach him how to play the zither, she might as well teach Kai Wen. Maybe the chances of her teaching him would be higher. Luo Yunxiao says, oh. She reaches for the zither at the side, and is about to strum it. No, little Uncle Master, Yun Ruohan screams, don't play, I beg you. Little junior sister didn't say that she wouldn't teach. Little junior sister, don't you think so? Chapter 1064. The others also look like they are crying and begging. They were really frightened by little martial uncle's demonic voice. Mu Yang's mouth twitches. I can teach you how to play the zither, but junior uncle, you have to promise me 2 conditions. Luo Yunxiao raises her eyebrows in surprise. You really have a lot of demands. Mu Yan sneers. Who told young martial uncle to give me a task as difficult as ascending to the heavens? She can foresee that if she wants to teach junior uncle how to play the zither in the future, she will have to endure many terrifying demonic sounds. She is sacrificing herself for the benefit of thousands of families. What's wrong with asking for some conditions? Tell me. First, I want to learn arrays and talismans. Mu Yang says straightforwardly. Okay, I will teach you. Luo Yunxiao nods. And the second? Mu Yang stares at his handsome face and doesn't speak for a long time. Just when Luo Yunxiao almost couldn't hold it anymore, she smiled and said, the second condition is even simpler. As long as young Master Yunxiao goes to our old master is the #1 in the world and sits there for half a day, it's enough. Oh. The people of the Xiaoyaro sect suddenly gasp. They look at Mu Yang and Luo Yunxiao. Luo Yunxiao's lips are tight. No one can tell whether he is happy or angry. Everyone is in a cold sweat. Junior sister really dares to say it. Simply audacious to the extreme, she actually dares to ask junior uncle to stand for their shop. Oh, if junior uncle really stands for their shop will be rich and customers will come like clouds. But, junior uncle, will he agree? Luo Yunxiao's cold eyes are fixed on Mu Yang. Mu Yang spreads out her hands. Junior uncle, you don't know the cost of daily necessities. Our Xiaoyaro sect is so poor that we can't even feed ourselves. As a member of the Xiaoyaro sect, shouldn't you do something for the sect? You only need to sit outside the shop for half a day. You don't need to do anything and this condition will be met. What do you think? Everyone gulped down a mouthful of saliva in unison. Little Uncle Master was actually quite doting on little junior sister. His tolerance towards his junior sister was also far higher than the rest of them. But this condition was a little too much. Little martial uncle wouldn't agree, right? That's impossible, right? However, if little martial uncle really agreed to it, then they wouldn't have to live like this anymore. Mu Yan's eyes are also sparkling as she stares at Luo Yunxiao. She was really unhappy with being suppressed by Liu Ruoxuan and earth-shattering. However, no matter if it was her, the people in the old master's #1 in the world store, or the other people in the Xiaoyaro sect, their popularity was too low. There was no way to break the monopoly of the mountain-breaking sect. However, things would be different if little martial uncle were to take action. That was the world-famous young master Yun Xiao. He was publicly recognized as the most handsome man in the cultivation world, and the man that all female cultivators wanted to marry. As long as little martial uncle stood in front of the shop, he would definitely defeat Liu Ruoxuan and the mountain-breaking sect in less than 2 hours. Thinking of this, the light and expectation in Mu Yang's eyes become a bit stronger. Just when everyone in the Xiaoyaro sect thought that their junior martial uncle would never agree, Luo Yunxiao looks deeply at Mu Yang, the corners of her mouth hooking up into a faint smile. In an instant, it was as if a spring breeze was caressing them and hundreds of flowers were blooming. Chapter 1065. Tianguang Ruins. Liu Ruoxuan gloomily walked on the streets, her face full of worry. Many male cultivators from the mountain-breaking sect surrounded her. They were all attentive and concerned about her. Junior sister, third-grade talismans are hard to draw. It's normal that you can't draw one in a short time. That's right, that's right. It's already very rare for others to be able to draw a second-grade talisman at your age, but you're already able to draw a second-grade talisman in 2 hours now. With such natural talent, who wouldn't say you're a genius? Liu Ruoxuan finally revealed a trace of a smile after being pursued by them, but she still sighed and said, "But, Grandmaster Yin's injuries were able to improve because of the third-grade talisman I drew. I want to draw those third-grade talismans again so that Master Yin's injuries can be completely healed, and I can bring glory to the mountain-breaking sect." As she spoke, a layer of mist covered her eyes. But when I drew a third-grade talisman that time, it was a sudden flash of inspiration. Now, if I want to draw a third-grade talisman again, it's already impossible for me to do so. Sob sob sob, I don't want to disappoint Master Yin, and I don't want to embarrass my senior brothers and master. Junior sister, don't cry. How could you embarrass the mountain-breaking sect? You're the pride of the mountain-breaking sect. The mountain-breaking sect's senior brothers comforted her. Look at our earth-shattering sky shop. Every day, there's a long line of people wanting to buy talismans. This is all because of your reputation. That's right, the lower 3 districts of the Tianguang ruins have been monopolized by the mountain-breaking sect. The other shops either supply us with talismans, or they can't sell them. There are many people trying to curry favor with the mountain-breaking sect. This is all because of you, junior sister Ruoxuan. You're the pride of the mountain-breaking sect. Liu Ruoxuan smiled through her tears. Really? Of course. The senior brother was about to pat his chest and promise. Suddenly, there was a commotion in the long line outside the earth-shattering sky shop. Then, the cultivators who wanted to buy talismans, regardless of gender, all rushed in the same direction. In the blink of an eye, there was not a single person outside the earth-shattering sky shop. What was going on? One of Liu Ruoxuan's senior brothers grabbed a guest who was about to run away and asked in surprise, "What are you doing? Why aren't you lining up? Don't you know that there's a second-grade talisman drawn by junior sister Sacred Dance of Ice for sale today? Bing Ruo, what Yang Wu? Not to mention a second-grade talisman, even a third-grade talisman is not as important as my young master Yun Xiao. Quickly let go of me. Any later and all the talismans in young master Yun Xiao's shop will be snatched clean." With that said, the man shook off his senior brother's hand and dashed towards the direction where the heads were surging like lightning. As he ran, he said, "I'm really a fucking fool, queuing up to buy some second-grade talisman in this broken shop. If I miss the chance to see young master Yun Xiao, I'll really regret it for the rest of my life." Liu Ruoxuan and her senior and junior brothers were stunned when they heard this. Then, Liu Ruoxuan's eyes suddenly lit up. "Sir Yun Xiao, could it be the most handsome man in the world, Luo Yun Xiao? He actually came to Tianguang ruins?" Even Liu Ruoxuan's senior brother excitedly opened the Tianguang ruins popularity ranking. Chapter 1066. That means that Luo Yunxiao is indeed in Tianguang ruins at the moment. Young Master Yun Xiao is a certified user of Tianguang ruins, and his popularity is far ahead of everyone in the upper, middle, and lower districts. Many people want to meet him, but it's harder than ascending to heaven. Young Master Yun Xiao hasn't been to Tianguang ruins for more than half a year. It's no wonder that everyone went crazy when he suddenly appeared today. Quick, let's go and see the legendary young master Yun Xiao, if we can curry favor with him. Liu Ruoxuan's eyes are shining, as if there's a fire burning inside. Under the urging of her fellow apprentices, she tidied up her clothes and quickly followed them. The old master is number 1 under the heavens, shop is currently closed. But outside the door, it's already crowded with people. Is young master Yun Xiao in this shop? Open the door, we want to see young master Yun Xiao. Why is the name of the shop, the old master is number one under the heavens, so annoying? No matter, it's a shop where young Master Yun Xiao has appeared, let's pay attention to it first. What is this shop selling? Some say it's selling talismans, and some say it's selling rubbish. Oh, who cares what it's selling? Anyway, it's a shop where young Master Yun Xiao has been. Even if it's a broken broom, this lady will buy it back. Young Master Yun Xiao, come out. We want to see young Master Yun Xiao. In the shop, Yun Ruohan looks at the scene outside and gasps. Although he already knew that young martial uncle is very popular and has a high reputation. But isn't this too frighteningly high? The key is that these female cultivators crazily scream outside. But why are those male cultivators so fanatical, as if they can't wait to rush over and smash through the door of the shop? So now, young martial uncle's fame is no longer limited to men and women. He swallows his saliva, looks at the other apprentices, and turns to look at the only two calm people in the shop. Yes, the only two calm people are Luo Yunxiao and Muyan. At this time, the shop's door is not open because Luo Yunxiao is teaching Muyan how to draw third-grade talismans. According to Muyan, third-grade talismans can be sold for 100 crystals at the lowest and even 1,000 crystals at the highest. Luo Yunxiao was advertising their store. If she could come up with a third-grade talisman, these customers would definitely come again because of the quality of the third-grade talisman. However, if there were only first-grade and second-grade talismans, once Luo Yunxiao's fame passed, those practitioners would gradually forget about this shop, and most of them wouldn't come back to buy more talismans. At this time, there are already a lot of third-grade talismans in Muyan's hand. There were spirit-replenishing talismans, speed-increasing talismans, and even third-grade talismans for fire and lightning attacks. However, the third-grade healing talisman that she had unintentionally drawn back then had never succeeded. Luo Yunxiao's slender, jade-like fingers held the cinnabar brush and lightly drew on the talisman paper. With a deep and magnetic voice, he slowly said, "There isn't much of a difference between the runes of a third-grade talisman and a second-grade talisman. The only difference is the gap in the conversion of spiritual power." Mu Yang had been studying these third-grade healing talismans, and had already figured out some ways to use them. Now, with Luo Yunxiao's guidance, it was as if the clouds had been dispelled to reveal the sun. Chapter 1067. At the same time, the Tianmo Qin in the space moves without any wind, and the melodies sound only rings in Muyan's ears. However, it silently fused into every rune. After a quarter of an hour, Muyan lets out a long sigh and puts down the cinnabar brush. The third-grade healing talisman is finally finished. Muyan somewhat proudly hands the talisman in her hand to Luo Yunxiao. "I improved it according to youngest martial uncle's third-grade healing talisman. Look, isn't it better than the original?" Luo Yunxiao takes it and probes it with her divine sense. Then, her indifferent face finally shows a hint of surprise. "Did you really just learn to draw talismans?" Muyan asks expectantly, "How much does youngest martial uncle think this talisman can sell for?" 1,000 crystals. Luo Yunxiao doesn't hesitate to quote a sky-high price. Muyan inhales a breath of cold air, then smiles with curved eyes. She only feels as if countless crystals have fallen in front of her. That's 1,000 crystals. If she casually sells a few, the Xiaoyaro school won't have to worry about food for the next few months. She can even think of ways to improve the Xiaoyaro school's living conditions. The more Muyan thinks about it, the more pleased she is. She takes the talisman paper and the cinnabar brush and continues to draw without stopping. Moreover, it's really worth it to see youngest martial uncle's expression. She should draw a few more before the shop opens, and strive to earn a few thousand crystals later. Muyan is immersed in the world of runes, but she doesn't notice that Luo Yunxiao's eyes are unblinkingly on her picturesque brows. She doesn't even blink, as if she has fallen into eternal contemplation. When the time comes, the door of "the old master is the number one under the heavens" slowly opens amidst the clamor of the crowd. At this time, the words, "the old master is the number one under the heavens," above the shop are no longer dim and almost invisible. Instead, they're sparkling with a golden light, almost blinding people's eyes. It's clear that these people haven't even seen Luo Yunxiao's face in less than half an hour, yet they've gone crazy. The moment the door opens, Muyin has already planned to use Luo Yunxiao's reputation to promote the shop. Seeing the men and women swarming in, seeing the tide of people trampling the shop to the ground, she's still dumbfounded. These people, aren't they a bit too many? Where's young Master Yun Xiao? We want to see young Master Yun Xiao. Young Master Yun Xiao, what do you want us to buy? Our crystals have all been prepared. Wave after wave of noise rose and fell, as if the roof was about to be overturned. Even Muyin had a vague illusion that the entire Tianguang ruins seemed to tremble. However, at the next moment, the noisy crowd in the shop seemed to have been strangled. All the voices stopped abruptly. The entire shop, including the noisy street outside the shop, slowly quietened down. Everyone turned to look at the man in white on the left side of the shop entrance. No one knew when he had appeared. It was as if he was supposed to be sitting there. A table, a chair, a pot of spirit wine, and a jade cup. His slender fingers gently picked up the cup and brought it to his lips. His Adam's apple moved up and down as the fragrant wine entered his thin lips, disappearing without a trace. Gulp, gulp. Everyone swallowed a mouthful of saliva, their eyes filled with infatuation. Some people even forgot that they were still holding crystals in their hands and dropped them on the ground. Chapter 1068. That's the Xiuzhen continent's #1 swordsman, Luo Yunxiao? Even if they've already seen that graceful and untainted figure in the photographic talisman. Even if they've long dreamed of that unique and charming demeanor in their fantasies. But when they really see the real person, they're still shocked. The real Yunxiao Gongzi is actually several times more perfect than they imagined. Immortal and otherworldly, aloof from the world. Even if they've only seen him up close, they already have no regrets in this life. Yunxiao Gongzi, it's really Yunxiao Gongzi. Ah, I have no regrets in this life to be able to see Yunxiao Gongzi. I'm going to faint, quickly support me, quickly support me. Muyin originally thought that when these people see little martial uncle, they would definitely rush up like wolves pouncing on their prey. She didn't expect that not only did they not rush up, they even retreated in panic, as if they've seen something that can blind them. It's as if standing too close to Luo Yunxiao would pollute the air he breathes, blaspheme him. Muyin remembers the stars and fans mentioned in Bailey Liuyin's notes, and she can't help but shake her head. Bailey Liuyin said that the fans in her world were crazy. In fact, the fans in this Xiuzhen continent are not inferior at all. But the greater little martial uncle's fame and influence, the more talismans they can buy. Muyin coughs twice, and slowly walks to the center of the shop. Liu Ruoxuan stood in the crowd and looked at the handsome man who was holding a cup and drinking. Her heart was thumping non-stop. Her eyes are burning, as if they can burn the hottest flame. She longs to get close to this man, longs to talk to him, longs for him to look at her with gentle eyes. If this man can really treat her differently, she, Liu Ruoxuan, will definitely become the happiest woman in the world. Liu Ruoxuan clenches her teeth, but in the end, she can't resist the boiling temptation in her heart. She pushes through the crowd and walks towards Luo Yunxiao step by step. Because everyone has retreated, there's naturally an empty space in front of Luo Yunxiao. Therefore, Liu Ruoxuan is immediately exposed to everyone's line of sight as soon as she steps out. Being stared at by everyone's burning and shocked gazes, Liu Ruoxuan shrinks, but immediately straightens her back. Step by step, she walked up to Luo Yunxiao with a shy, admiring, and infatuated smile on her face. She was like the purest, kindest, and most gentle girl who admired him. Young Master Yun Xiao, I am the sacred dance of ice, and I can also draw talismans. If young master needs talismans, there's no need to buy them here. I can personally draw them for you. Liu Ruoxuan said softly while peeking at Luo Yunxiao's reaction. However, before she could see Luo Yunxiao's expression clearly, a furious shout suddenly erupted from the crowd. Where did this shameless little whore come from? Her appearance was not even 1/10 of her own. Why did everyone treat her differently? Who was this woman? Because of Luo Yunxiao's support, it only took 2 hours. The talismans that Mu Yang had been drawing for a few days, but she hadn't been able to sell them. Unexpectedly, they were all snatched up. When these people entered the shop to buy talismans, they did not even look at the price and quality. He directly took out his Jingxia to buy it, afraid that he would leave a stingy and petty impression on young Master Yun Xiao. What made Mu Yang feel the most inconceivable was that half of these crazy fans were actually men. Moreover, many of them were high-level cultivators from the middle and upper districts. Chapter 1070. But in order to get a closer look at Luo Yunxiao, they rushed over. After seeing Luo Yunxiao, they didn't go near her. They just bowed deeply from afar, bought the talismans, and left in a hurry. Not to mention those crazy female cultivators. Some of them even fainted when they saw Luo Yunxiao up close. When they were carried out, they insisted on buying a few talismans to support Master Yunxiao. Looking at this scene, Mu Yang was simply dumbfounded. So Junior Martial Uncle is actually so awesome? What else do you think? Leng Yumor glanced at her. If people knew that Junior Martial Uncle is from our Xiaoyaro sect, the cultivators who want to enter the Xiaoyaro sect will definitely flatten the entire Tian Shen Mountains. Mu Yang swallows with difficulty. Seeing this group of people worshipping Junior Martial Uncle like a bodhisattva, she thought about how she just cut Junior Martial Uncle's to the strings 2 days ago. She suddenly felt that life was very difficult. Luo Yu clung onto Mu Yan's shoulder and giggled, "Sixth senior sister, if these people knew that you're learning swordsmanship from youngest martial uncle every day, and that you're even teaching youngest martial uncle the zither, they would definitely go crazy with jealousy." Mu Yang looked at her coldly. "You also know how to play the zither. How about I teach you this glorious task?" Luo Yu was scared out of her wits. She shook her head. No, please don't." Junior Martial Uncle's terrifying ear-piercing demonic sound was not something an ordinary person could bear. Moreover, Junior Martial Uncle was so terrible that he was tone deaf. If she wanted to teach him how to play the zither, Luo Yu felt that it would be faster to cut her own throat. Sold out. Junior Martial Sisters' talismans are all sold out. Our Xiaoyaro sect is finally going to be rich. Ha ha ha. So many crystals, we can buy a lot of meat, ha ha ha, long live 6th senior martial sister, long live junior martial uncle. The people of the Xiaoyaro sect excitedly rolled around in the pile of crystals. Even Mu Yang was a little dazed when she saw the crystals in the room. They had only been standing on the street for 2 hours. 2 hours. If they stood for a few more hours, Mu Yang looks at Luo Yunxiao, junior master. We agreed that it would be half a day. Only 2 hours have passed today. Are you going to compensate me for the remaining 2 hours? Luo Yunxiao looked at him expressionlessly, then the corners of her mouth slowly curved into a gentle smile. What do you think? No need. Mu Yang immediately becomes terrified and waves her hands again and again. Young martial uncle, you're the store's precious artifact, you can't easily take it out. An hour is enough, it's enough. Luo Yunxiao, ha ha ha, the store's treasure, my Yang, you're so talented. Kai Wen suddenly jumps out, wanting to drill into Mu Yang's body, but Luo Yunxiao grabs her by the neck. When will you teach me how to play the zither? Mu Yan stares blankly, whenever junior martial uncle says so. Tonight then. Come to my courtyard. After saying that, he doesn't wait for Mu Yan's reaction and directly turns around to leave. Mu Yang was stunned for a long time before she came back to her senses. Junior martial uncle's love for music is too deep. He doesn't even want to delay a day and wants to play the piano overnight. When playing the zither, you need to use both hands to cooperate. The left and right hands have different tasks. The right hand plucks the strings and the left hand presses the strings to pick up the notes. The right hand has support, brush, pick, hook, and pick. The left hand has hum, chuo, note, bump, advance, and return. Chapter 1071. A trace of confusion flashes across Luo Yunxiao's face. Then, she lowers her head and moves her 10 fingers according to Muyan's instructions. Stop, stop, stop. Muyan is going crazy. I've been talking for a long time, but you didn't listen to a single word. Why was it that even after she had taught him for so long, the sound that came out was still so demonic? Was he going to let her live? Luo Yunxiao's face was expressionless as she stared at her. But Mu Yang is stunned to see a trace of innocence on that invincible handsome face. Mu Yang took a deep breath and secretly said 100 times, "This is junior martial uncle, I can't offend him." Only then did he grit his teeth and say, "Next, play these 3 notes for me. Don't try anything else. Do you hear me?" Luo Yunxiao nodded his head and placed his fingers back on the zither strings. Because Luo Yunxiao was only allowed to repeat the 3 most basic notes, this time, there wasn't a horrible sound like sawing wood. Mu Yang breathed a sigh of relief. Play the score of these 3 notes 20 times according to what I just taught you. Before you master these 3 notes, you are not allowed to try anything else. Do you hear me? Luo Yunxiao nodded obediently and continued to play the zither. There was no longer any piercing demonic music, but the repetitive music kept repeating itself in his mind. Muyan's eyelids gradually become heavy. Finally, she lies on the table and falls into a deep sleep. She didn't know that after she fell asleep, Luo Yunxiao stopped playing the zither and looked at her deeply. After a long time, he got up and gently carried the girl, placing her on the bed. The moment she let go of the young girl, Luo Yunxiao frowned and abruptly turned around to look around the house. But he didn't find anything. In the space, Qi Huang was stomping his feet. "You bastard pretty boy, who allowed you to touch Muyan? Let go of me." Muyan is in a daze from her sleep, and she seems to be constantly hearing the noise of Qi Huang. However, she was too tired during this period of time, so she just waved her hand, signaling Qi Huang to stop making a fuss, and then fell into a deep sleep again. When she woke up, Mu Yang found that the room was dark and quiet. However, the moonlight shone in through the window and seemed to gild everything in the room with a layer of silver. Mu Yang only needed to adapt for a while before she could clearly see everything in the room under the moonlight. The wine pot and cups were still quietly placed on the table, as well as the zither that had just been played. While he was lying on the bed, little martial uncle was sleeping on a rattan chair not far away. Kai Wen was curled up into a ball, nestled in the hand of the youngest martial uncle. Mu Yang is a little embarrassed. She was here to teach little Uncle Master how to play the zither, but she didn't expect to fall asleep by herself and even occupy little Uncle Master's bed. He was wondering if he should sneak back to his house. Suddenly, a red shadow flashed before his eyes. Unknowingly, a figure had appeared in front of little Uncle Master. When she saw the figure clearly, Mu Yang sucked in a breath of cold air and called out in a low voice, 7 brilliants. Yes, the young man standing in front of Luo Yunxiao was dressed in a blood-red robe, and his hair was like a waterfall. Under the moonlight, Ma Yingying's beautiful face looked like the most bewitching demon. Hearing Mu Yang's exclamation, he slowly turned his head, revealing a pair of fiery red eyes. The corners of her mouth slowly curled up. A charming and bloodthirsty smile rippled on her beautiful face. Muyan's eyes suddenly widen. Is this 7 brilliants? Why is it that he clearly has 7 brilliants' appearance, but his whole body exudes a cold, crazy, and bloodthirsty evil aura? Just then, 7 brilliants slowly raised his hand. Chapter 1072. A sinister and bloodthirsty smile suddenly blooms on his face, becoming incomparably crazy. "Qi Huang, what are you doing?" Muyan whispers. She sees that the dagger in Qi Huang's hand is already ruthlessly stabbing towards Luo Yunxiao's heart. "Don't." Muyan doesn't care about anything else and suddenly pounces over. However, the moment her hand touched Qi Huang's figure dissipated like smoke. Immediately after, she loses her balance and heavily crashes into Luo Yunxiao. Under the moonlight, Luo Yunxiao slowly opens his eyes, revealing his eyes that are purer than the night. Muyan is so frightened that she quickly climbs up from his body and retreats again and again. Her voice is dry as she says, "That, young martial uncle, I can explain." Luo Yunxiao slowly sits up and looks at her with an indifferent expression. He unhurriedly says, "Okay, I'll listen to your explanation." His words, however, cause Mu Yang to stiffen. What kind of explanation is this? How is she going to explain? Could it be that she has to give up Qi Huang? That's absolutely not possible. Mu Yan is flustered and irritable, so much so that she doesn't notice that Luo Yunxiao's ears are slightly red. Her hands are also unconsciously clenched. But when she looks over, they quickly return to their original state. Mu Yan coughs lightly and says, "Yes, I got up at night and didn't see the road clearly, so I accidentally bumped into young martial uncle." Luo Yunxiao nods, "So that's how it is." Mu Yan lets out a long sigh of relief. She finally muddles through. As a result, Luo Yunxiao's next words are, "Tonight's moonlight is like a mirror, and you still can't see the road clearly. It seems that you're not good at fighting at night. Starting from tomorrow, you'll increase your cultivation time by 2 hours every night." Mu Yan's foot slips and she almost falls to the ground. Still increasing cultivation time? Does she still want to live? "Qi Xiaowang, just you wait. See if I don't skin you later." However, when Mu Yan returns to her room and enters the space to drag Qi Huang out to interrogate him, Qi Huang shows a blank expression. "What did I do last night? You said that I wanted to kill Luo Yunxiao. I really wanted to kill him, but I'm not stupid. If I didn't have enough strength, why would I appear in front of him? It wasn't you." Mu Yan is also dumbfounded. "Then what did I see last night? Could it be that I'm hallucinating?" After Mu Yang left, Qi Huang restrained all the emotions on his face, and his eyes darkened. There was a flash of worry and fear in his eyes, but it disappeared in an instant. Tianguang Ruins. The next day, the shop in front of Laozi is #1 in the world was still crowded with people. But these people were basically all here to see the #1 handsome man in the world, young Master Yun Xiao. When they realized that Luo Yunxiao wasn't around, most of them left with flagging interest. Even if someone came into the shop to buy some talismans, they would only buy 2 first and second grade talismans. As for the grade 3 talismans, especially the 1000 crystal healing talisman, everyone shook their heads. What grade 3 talisman, to actually sell for 1000 crystals? With this price, I can buy a 4th grade talisman in the middle 3 districts. Exactly. Even if you borrowed young Master Yun Xiao's name, you also can't cheat people like this. What good goods can a broken 1-star shop have? If you really want to buy talismans, you should still go to the earth-shattering sky-shocking shop. There are talismans personally drawn by Miss Bing Ruo Yunwu. Even Master Yin Xiu praised it. TMPH, I don't care if this is a 1-star shop or not. In short, this is something that young Master Yun Xiao supports, so I will support it. Chapter 1073. Mu Yang sits in the corner of the shop, drawing talismans leisurely, while Luo Yu and Yun Ruohan entertain the customers. Originally, the Xiaoyaro sect was so poor that they only had 1 jade key from Tianguang ruins. But because Luo Yunxiao came back, they begged and begged for 2 more from Xiao Shishu. But after the crazy sales, the Xiaoyaro sect now has a lot of crystals. As long as they have a chance to go to the big market to buy, they will naturally have a jade key. Life is not so good. However, without little martial uncle to oversee the business, the shop's business was not as good. Even if many cultivators buy talismans, it is only because this is the shop where Master Yun Xiao used to work. They may not even use it after buying it, but just throw it aside. "Excuse me, is Sister Yi Liang Chen here?" Suddenly, a little girl walks into the shop, nervously looking at Luo Yu and Yun Ruohan. Mu Yang looks up in surprise, only to find that the little girl is a little familiar. "Sister Yi, that's great. You are still here." The little girl ran over with a bag of crystal stones in her hand. She excitedly stuffed it into Mu Yang's hands. "Sister Yi, thanks to your healing talisman, my brother, he survived and even joined the city guards. Sister Yi, these are the crystals I owe you. Hearing the little girl, Mu Yang remembers. That was the first real customer of the best in the world. A shy little girl named Bei Kue Seong Nuan. At that time, she only had 5 crystals, but she wanted to buy a second-grade healing talisman. Mu Yang was in a good mood, so she gave her 2. She said that she will return the crystals in the future. She didn't expect that she would really return the crystals today. Mu Yang smiles, you still have a lot of spa here. Saying that, she wants to return the extra crystals. Bei Kue Seong Nuan is anxious. No, Sister Yi, the talismans you drew are really, really good, better than the second-grade healing talismans I bought at the earth-shattering shop. I think your talisman is worth more than 20 crystals. Even my brother said so. This is something I must return to you. The little girl looks shy, but she is very stubborn. She must make Mu Yang accept the crystals. Luo Yu smiles, Miss, you really know what's good. My senior's talisman is naturally the best in the world. Come in. What's your name? Are you interested in helping our Laozi is #1 in the world? North Sunflower Seong Nuan's interlude attracted the attention of the customers in the shop. However, they soon sneered in disdain. Is this little girl a shill hired by this shop? Saying that the talismans of this small shop are more useful than the talismans of the earth-shattering shop? Who are you trying to fool? And look at the little girl drawing the talisman. How old is she? She looks even younger than the earth-shattering and sky-shocking Liu Ruoxuan. She can draw a third-grade talisman at such a young age, and it's even better than Liu Ruoxuan. Who would believe it? That's right. It's obvious that he's putting on an act for us. Do you think we will believe such a clumsy lie? But this is a shop that young Master Yun Xiao has been to. It shouldn't be that dirty, right? Humph, it must be that young Master Yun Xiao owes them a favor and came over to repay it. I didn't expect them to make use of young Master Yun Xiao's noble character. Chapter 1074. North Sunflower Seong Nuan didn't expect that her actions would instead cause the customers of this shop to leave. She was so anxious that she was about to cry. No, I'm not acting. My brother really suffered a very serious injury, and it was all thanks to Sister Yi's talismans that he was healed. However, how would these customers believe her as they all scoffed at her? Right at this moment, a young man dressed in luxurious clothing suddenly rushed in from outside the door. After he rushed into the shop while gasping for breath, he didn't even have the time to wipe the sweat on his forehead before he suddenly threw down 10 crystal stones and shouted, "Give me 10 third-grade talismans, 1,000 crystal stones for that, quickly, quickly." Everyone in the shop was stunned. When they clearly saw the young man's appearance and the crystals he threw down, they were all stunned. They saw that the 10 crystals were crystal clear, much brighter than low-grade crystals. It was actually a whole 10 pieces of mid-grade crystals. And above this young man's head were 3 glittering words, "Easy Bro." Isn't that the Guo family's young master who had his real name verified in Tianguang ruins? Guo family's young master Guo Bin was the legitimate son of a small aristocratic family country in Azure Heaven Realm. Actually, Guo Bin's cultivation wasn't high, but he was famous for being extravagant and loved to brag. In Tianguang ruins, he even gave himself the eye-catching name Easy Bro and even made a glittering real name verification. So in the lower 3 districts, there was practically no one who didn't know him. Why would young Master Guo come here to buy talismans, and even take 10 mid-grade crystals? That's a whole 10,000 crystals. Those who knew young Master Guo couldn't help but step forward to dissuade him. "Easy Bro, don't be rash. Buy trash back, don't let your old man break your legs." "Phut, what do you know?" Guo Bin glared at that person and said loudly, "Yesterday, I only came to buy 2 talismans because of young Master Yun Xiao's name. At that time, I was completely immersed in young Master Yun Xiao's glory and didn't even realize that I bought any talismans. In the end, when I got back, I found out that it was a third-grade talisman that cost 1,000 crystals each. At that time, I regretted it so much that my intestines turned green. You have to know that this young master only earns 3,000 crystals a month. I didn't expect my grandfather's old illness to act up that night. His entire body was aching. I thought that it would be a waste to not use the healing talisman, so I gave it to my grandfather. Guess what happened? Guobin had always liked to play to the gallery and attract people's attention. At this moment, he felt that he was particularly awesome, and his saliva flew everywhere as he spoke. After my grandfather used that talisman, he didn't feel any pain all over his body, and even his old ailments showed signs of loosening. Ha ha ha, in the past, whenever my father saw me, he would either scold me or punish me. But last night, he praised me and told me to buy more of these talismans. He also said that if Grandpa's old illness was really cured, he would be able to spend more crystals every month. Ha ha ha, it's good that you don't believe me. This young master will take all the talismans in this shop. The customers in the shop looked at each other, their expressions changing. Meanwhile, Guobin had already received the 10 level 3 healing talismans from Luo Yu and walked away in high spirits. This eldest young master Guo doesn't look like someone who would be a shill for others. Could it be that the talismans in this shop are really that useful? You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.